The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year.
I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living on the average American salary? I just watched a TikTok of a teacher who makes a teacher's salary. I don't know what state she's in, so I don't know how much she makes, but her one-bedroom apartment is $2,000.
You work, you pay everything on time, you don't live a luxury life, and you're still broke. Making good money no longer means living well. Rent eats up your paycheck, food has become a luxury item, and the future has been canceled. This isn't about bad choices. It's a system that has stopped working.
I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream.
Here we see the raw portrait of the invisible average American. Overworked, underpaid, no health care, no rest, and still doesn't qualify for government assistance. This is the modern limbo. Too poor to live well, too rich to get help. The American dream becomes a joke when someone generates millions for their boss and can barely afford to eat properly. Constant exhaustion, declining health, and zero perspective show this isn't an exception. It's the norm. When all your energy goes into surviving, there's nothing left to grow. This isn't a lack of ambition. It's social burnout.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living on the average American salary? I just watched a TikTok of a teacher who makes a teacher's salary. I don't know what state she's in, so I don't know how much she makes, but her one-bedroom apartment is $2,000. And when she spends $2,000 on that one-bedroom apartment, it doesn't even come with a washer and dryer. So she has to go pay an additional $2 every time she wants to use their washer and dryer. Okay, like, how does that leave her any extra money to spend? And then she said she had a $400 car payment, which some people were bashing her on that. But in today's economy with interest rates, that's really not that bad. And I'm sure she needs a dependable car. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment. You got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. Like, I don't understand how people are affording life right now, and it really makes me sad for some people. You have people who are like her. She's single, she has her own salary, or families where it just works out best for them for the mother to stay home. And if the father is just making an average American salary, how are they affording life without going in a bunch of debt? This lady who's a teacher started crying because she said she realizes on her salary and where she lives, she will actually end up in more debt. Then, like, she will just continue to accrue more debt and more debt and more debt because her salary is not matching the cost of living. And what's sad is I've seen people be like, just spend less. Listen, guys, the cost of living is rising and our salaries are stagnant. Okay, so there's not just spend less. That's not the problem here. The problem is the cost of living is outrageous, and minimum wage in some states is still $7.25. Teachers in some states are still paid a ridiculously low salary, even though their job is super important. I don't know what we can do about this, but I'm just going on a rant because it really, really pisses me off.
This rant shows how even essential professions are being crushed. A teacher crying because she knows she'll go into debt just by working is a massive red flag. The issue isn't spend less. It's earning too little in an outrageous economy. $2,000 rent, a basic car, normal bills. None of that is luxury. And when even responsible people with stable careers can't make the numbers, something is deeply wrong. Society demands quality education, but refuses to pay for it, then wonders why teachers quit. The system demands endless sacrifice and rewards it with debt.
Bro, if I knew how bad the economy was going to be up today, I wouldn't have been riding no bikes, playing no video games. I would have bought a house when I was 10. They did a study based on today's economy. Like, what should minimum wage be based on today's economy to make sure an American is comfortable living a day-to-day life, like with the prices, how the prices is up to date. Bro, do you know how much they say you need to make an hour to be comfortable around this motherfucker? $66 fucking dollars an hour. $66 an hour, bro. Who the fuck making that? That ain't even the kicker. You make $66 an hour. You work 40 hours a week. At the end of the month, guess how much you gonna have in whole? 10 bands. Oh no, but don't think you taking the whole 10 bands. You forgot about Uncle Sam. You're going home with 6,500. Maybe a 7-ball if you lucky. Okay, so eliminate all the bills and life expenses from that 6,500. You left, even motherfuckers who making $66 an hour after paying all their bills and life expenses at the end of the month, they only gonna be able to save a band or two a month. So regular motherfuckers like me and you was just cooked. We po. We just, at this point, we just on the internet seeing who can be po better. Who can be best at being po.
The tone here is angry humor, but the message is brutal. When studies say a comfortable wage should be $66 an hour, that's basically an admission of social failure. If even people earning that can barely save, everyone else was doomed from the start. The joke about a competition to see who's poorer captures the mood perfectly. Normalizing misery has become entertainment. The problem isn't just taxes or personal spending. It's an entire model that turns full-time work into a fight to not sink. When saving becomes a privilege, the future disappears.
In 2 months, it's going to become completely unaffordable to live in the United States. And I'm not talking about luxury lifestyle. I'm talking about basic middle-class needs. I run a relocation business out of Costa Rica. I asked my clients, who are a couple from Bushwick, Brooklyn, why they were thinking of moving abroad. They sent me their monthly budget spreadsheet. So combined, they make $120,000 a year. And from that, they get to bring home about $7,400 a month after taxes. Their rent is $3,100 a month. And their health insurance is about to skyrocket to $1,750. They budget about $1,000 a month for groceries. Their utilities, internet, cell phones, and MetroCard are another $1,300 or so. So at the end of the month, this leaves them with about $250. And that doesn't include any unexpected expenses or the hope for investments or the hope for a savings account. So what they said to me is that this is what running in place feels like. And the reason that they want to move abroad is because they actually want to move forward with their lives.
This case shows the end game. Even middle-class couples are running in place. Making $120,000 a year and ending the month with $250 is insane. No investing, no security, no plans, just maintaining life. The phrase, "this is what running in place feels like," says it all. Work no longer moves you forward. It only keeps you from falling. That's why so many people are considering leaving the country, not to escape, but to actually move ahead. When a system blocks even those who did everything right, it loses all legitimacy.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a one-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, Car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make 75 grand a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, dog's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is unsustainable.
This story shatters the fantasy that earning well fixes everything. The problem isn't bad money management, it's basic math. A $75,000 salary, which should provide comfort, barely supports a minimal, lonely life. No luxury, no leisure, no room for mistakes, just survival. The criticism of get a second job is spot on. If full-time work no longer guarantees dignity, the system is broken. Blaming individuals is easier than admitting the cost of living exploded while wages stayed frozen. This isn't collective laziness. It's a structural collapse disguised as meritocracy.